we're talking so much about how Donald Trump is going to do such a good job and bring the country back, but I truly believe it could be better than it's ever been. Make America Great Again just works for MAGA, but it's more than that. It's more than MAGA. And recently I just saw Bobby doing an interview, and he said that Trump has not let him down on any promise since he's been engaged within the party. Not let him down, and in fact over-delivered. And that when he got into office, he didn't really know what he was doing yet. You can imagine, like, being president for the first time. You really don't know what to expect. But he knows now, and he knows who all the bad guys are. I was just in Phoenix a couple of nights ago watching him for Tucker's last show on his tour, and he said, I think I know who all the bad guys are now. And so he's going to come in there, and he's going to be able to do it better than he's ever done it, which I think is the most exciting thing with the most talented list of people.
So, Danica, you just brought up how President Trump says it often. He was not a DC guy, he was a New York guy. Laura, you were there at the very beginning, the golden escalator ride. Talk to us about what this transition has been like for you and your family. 3 days left on a really 10-year journey. I'm sure it's a little bittersweet for you. You've traveled the country and met so many amazing people, and you're a household name, and America loves you, by the way. Don't we love Laura Trump and her family? What has it been like, and how does it feel in this moment now that you have 3 days left on this ride?
It's a great question. Nothing prepares you for something like this. I will tell you, we had a conversation, we had dinner as a family. This was a few nights before the famous golden escalator ride, and that night, my father-in-law sat down with our whole family, and he said, listen, this is something that's real. I'm definitely going to do this, but I think you guys need to appreciate what this means too, because it's not just about me. It's about all of you. And if I do this the way it needs to be done, they are going to come after me, and they're also going to come after you. And I think you guys need to understand what that means and make sure everybody feels good about this. And of course, we're all like, yeah, how bad could this possibly be?
Oh, boy.
And then, of course, we saw immediately how bad it could possibly be. And to have really felt like I've been in the trenches with my father-in-law, our entire family. It's not just us, it's all of you. Our entire movement it's not a movement of politics. It's really like you guys are our family. And so that's why it is, Caroline, bittersweet. For 9 years, we have been out there fighting alongside each and every one of you. And I will be so proud on Tuesday night when we re-elect Donald Trump as our 47th president. But for me personally, look, I think I probably grew up like most people in America did. And I can tell you that in my wildest dreams, I never imagined I would have the last name Trump, let alone all the rest of this, for sure. And so it's just been the most incredible experience of my entire life. I am so honored to be by this man's side because he went into it eyes wide open, truly understanding what he was going to do and what it was going to take for this country to do the right things for this country, to give this country back to we, the people, to reestablish our strength on the world stage, all of it. And he did it the first 4 years he was in the White House. And to Danica's point, you're right. He went in there, and I think he naively thought, look, I'm a businessman. I know how business works. It's fast. It moves quickly. Whenever you're a decisive person, you make actions happen very fast and things get done. And the federal government does not work that way, obviously. So he had to adapt, and he had to learn, and he didn't know all the people to place in these positions, but he knows now. And I'll tell you something else. You want to know the reason why they're terrified to have Donald J. Trump back in Washington, D.C.? Not only did he learn all the good people, but to Danica's point, he learned all the bad people. He exposed a lot the first time around, and honestly, the swamp is terrified and quaking in its boots because they know when Donald J. Trump is back at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the jig is up, it's over, it's all done. We're flushing them right down the drain.
And so I'd like, especially the governors and Laura, who has seen these conversations take place, talk about that side of your father-in-law, the compassion and the sympathy that he has for families who have suffered the worst of the worst tragedies in this country.
Yeah, and it's not just illegal immigration. It's, he came right here to Georgia, in the wake of Hurricane Helene and wanted to check in with people here on the ground. He went to the western part of North Carolina, and I've seen him in these moments. It's when the cameras are off, it's when no one's around, and he really obviously does care about this country. Look, he is putting his life on the line to save America. I can tell you, Donald Trump never needed this job. This was a guy who was known around the world, had made his fortune, had fame. You know, he was a household name, and he had a great life, and everybody seemed to really like Donald Trump, and he knew getting in a race like this, what that would ultimately mean. I don't know that he knew it would get this bad, but he knew what it would mean, and you've seen time after time, you've seen impeachments, you've seen indictments, you've seen a mugshot right here in Fulton County, which is the greatest one we've ever seen in the history of the world, by the way. Thanks, Fanny.
Phony Fanny.
You've seen 2 assassination attempts on this man's life, and he's still in this race and he's still fighting, and it's because he really loves this country. He really, truly cares about the American people. And, you know, it's funny because I will never forget, this is a story that I don't tell many, but I'll never forget what I saw right after the last time my father-in-law left the White House in 2021. We flew down to Florida for the last time on Air Force One. It was very somber, very quiet. Obviously, it was a pretty tough time for all of us, probably for all of you as well, but no one more than my father-in-law. And he asked us all to have dinner with him that night. And as soon as he came to dinner, we were all kind of like, oh, I don't know what this is going to be like. What do we say? What do we do? And he sat down and he just kind of exhaled and he goes, well, I got to do it again. Oh my God. Yeah. After all of the things that had just happened to him, after all of it, he said he had to do it again because he really said, I'm not done with what I want to do for this country. And I thought that was incredible to see that he knew the day he left office that he was going to try again to come back and do what was right for the United States of America. It's incredible. And look, I know him as a father-in-law. I know him as a grandfather. My kids absolutely adore him. In fact, one of the greatest moments, I think, of their life was when I was in the other room, and of course, TV's always on in our house, and they go, Mom, come in here. Grandpa's working at McDonald's. That's it. They're sold on that. I mean, he's the greatest. And about 2 days ago, I got a text from him. I woke up at like 4:30 in the morning because we're hustling out there, guys. We're not sleeping. I hope nobody's sleeping for the next 72 hours, okay? And I had a text from him, and he had texted me. It was like 2:17 a.m. And I was like, oh, so I wrote him back, and he immediately responded to me. I was like, oh my gosh, he's awake? Wait, this guy isn't sleeping? And then after, we go back and forth for a few minutes, and he goes, okay, honey, now go to bed, please. Like, he's still a father-in-law. And I said, I'm not going to bed. I got to go out there and win an election for you. But he's the greatest. I'm so proud to call myself his daughter-in-law. And I can tell you, I would never have gone out there the first time in 2016 and spoken on behalf of a man. I didn't know anything about politics, but I knew his character. I knew his heart. And I knew who he was as a person. And that's what I started going out there and talking to people about. Obviously, we got a little lesson on politics, so I'm a little brushed up these days. But he is one of the greatest people I've ever known, and I could not be more honored to be part of his family.
If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date with future videos. Thank you for watching.